Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the broadcast. Well, you got to hold on for what we're about to present to you because it starts with the CDC has presented a new list of COVID-19 symptoms, including fever, cough, shortness of breath, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, new loss of taste or smell, because obviously that makes the agenda large enough that now everybody has COVID, but as many are skewing the numbers and building fear amongst you and making sure we shut down economies. And if you saw my earlier broadcast, you caught that because now the CDC has released guidance on what you should do and how you should act. But no matter what, be prepared to close because the rolling lockdowns will continue. But before I proceed into this broadcast, I'm going to ask you once again, if you haven't subscribed to me here on YouTube, please do. Make sure the bell is checked so you're alerted to upcoming broadcasts. And if you haven't been over to Restricted Republic to take us up on our 30 days, please do it before the offer expires. It's right next to me right now. Now let's get into what we have to cover today. And I truly don't know. I'm not the type of person who likes to say, I told you so, but I told you so. We told you so at Restricted. We warned you that the cure was by far worse than the virus. U.S. deaths soared in early weeks of pandemic, far exceeding number attributed to COVID-19. An analysis of federal data for the first time estimates excess deaths, the number beyond what would normally be expected during that period. I was going to zoom in on this just so you get a really good view of this chart right here. So you see the little hash. That's what, actually, let's start with the seasonal average, the dark line, which would normally have trended down to this point that you see just below COVID-19 deaths reported at the time. Now, COVID-19 deaths rised it, obviously, to where you see the hashtags kind of start, or the hash mark stop. But now there's this whole new batch of deaths above what COVID-19 caused, which we have warned you was coming. It was going to happen. You can't put this much fear in people. And then guess what? They stopped showing up at hospitals. They stopped taking care of themselves because they were in such a panic about COVID-19 that they chose not to take care of themselves. And that resulted, unfortunately, as this chart is declaring, in an excessive amount of additional deaths. Because the cure has always been worse than this virus could ever be. But that's not where it stops. There's so much more of this totalitarian state that is being ushered in right now. Not only are people in mass so afraid that they'll take on the control of totalitarian governments, and one of the biggest thing about that is people will conform with their captors in many ways. And now, to make sure you conform further, another item that we warned you about is the fact that they were going to start giving you free money as much as you can. They want to make it better for you to stay at home than it would be to work. At least those making minimum wage or lower. That's a socialist agenda. Always has been, always will be. Now you heard the likes, and actually I could show you Ilhan Omar's, one of her new legislation she's trying to push through. This is for free rents because nobody should have to pay rent. Nobody should have to pay their mortgage. Don't worry about the long-term economic variable of what's going to happen. Let's not solve the actual problem and reopen America. Let's start putting all these packages in place to make sure everybody gets everything for free and actually believe any time in history that we won't have to pay that back, or we'll end up in the Great Depression, the Great Recession, the Great End, as we all hail to the new law of COVID. But now the rhetoric's getting ratcheted up by those even outside of Elon. Now let's just transition over to full screen real quick. Let's get this centered for you so you can listen in and enjoy my displeasure.
What works? What is operational, and what needs other attention? Others have suggested a minimum income for a guaranteed income for people. Is that worthy of attention now? Perhaps so, because there are many more people than just in.
Is that worthy of attention? Perhaps so. So now she's on the basic income plan, the universal income plan, because nobody anywhere in Washington, and I read an article today, oh, they're back in session. They're back in session for what? For witch hunts? To spend our hard-earned tax dollars? To make more useless legislation? To pad their special interests? I'm supposed to care about that? I could care less if they're back in session. They have proven to do nothing for the American people through this entire pandemic in itself. But now we're going to go ahead and give you free money to make sure we incentivize you for another way to make sure you're not going to want to work. But now I'm going to carry it back to our home state here of Arizona. Martha McSally puts this out. Our country is facing a serious mental health crisis as many experience increased isolation and uncertainty. I'm calling for a bill to establish a 988 National Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Crisis Hotline to be included in the next coronavirus relief package. Let's keep going. We need another package, don't we, Martha? Let's not hit the root cause of the problem, which I believe, oh, there's Lisa. Of course, she got in there too. How did she beat me to the response? That's not, no, aha, I beat her. Of course I did. This is our back and forth because we work day and night to defend our states, defend our nation. And this is what I was talking about in my last video, if you saw it. How do you react? You're a first responder. You be a restricted first responder. Be the first to respond to a tweet. Make sure you be the first to respond to a Facebook post, a message, because this is the new mouthpiece of the world. This is how the COVID laws are being enacted through social media. So we have a much better idea, Martha. Far more economical, life-saving, and constitutionally based. Stop the lockdowns and stop supporting COVID communism. Yeah, it's a phrase we coined and we use here routinely because that's exactly what this is. This is COVID communism, because the people making the decision seem to have a lot of skin in the game. Even our dear old governor, Arizona governor, sits on board of group doing testing, affiliate of prospective coronavirus vaccine maker. That, as is so eloquently stated by Patrick Howley, is beyond a stunning conflict of interest. It is an unacceptable conflict of interest. This is everything we told you was happening. Everything we were moving towards is part of this new COVID law. The fact that now the basic income's back on the table, deaths are spiraling out of control beyond what COVID-19 and the cure could be coined as causing. Because this cure is by far worse than the virus. And every step that they bring out, everything that they do, we're going to bring it here as quick as we can. You notice I've upped the frequency a little bit because there is just so much information you need to be aware of. I don't want to cram it into a larger segment. I just want to give it to you in smaller doses so that you can share these messages and we will continue to report on what's happening. Don't let your state tyrants take over the government. We, the people, are more important to each of one of these facets. Now we need to raise our voices, respond, be first responders. Get on social media. If you're off work, if you're sitting at home, get on your phones, get on your computers. Make sure they hear your voices loud and clear because the liberal globalist left has taken over everything and we've allowed them and we cannot allow that any further. So until next time, if you haven't subscribed to me here on YouTube, please do. If you haven't joined us over at Restrict the Republic, 1 month on us. But until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.